that there are now negotiations towards seeing whether or not resumption of peace talks are possible. For me, I will still pursue the formula of amnesty. Because in the amnesty proclamation, we do not intrude into the prerogatives of Congress while we get the funds for an honest-to-goodness, theoretically honest-to-goodness, social integration program for the rebel returnees. No? What do I mean by saying that we do not intrude into the prerogatives of Congress? The peace negotiations, putatively, with the NDF, anchor on such issues as social justice, agrarian reform. I mean, we do have a Congress. They have former members who are now part of Congress. Republic Act 1700, which disallowed the teaching or preaching or membership in any organization which was quote-unquote communist-inspired, is now repealed. You can well advocate communism in the street just as long as you don't bear arms for it. So, I mean, that facet of the situation must be put into the negotiation formula. But I'm very happy that the government is negotiating without a ceasefire request.
Well, as NPA, ito makakalutas lang dito talaga ma-develop yung lugar. Alam natin lahat na pag hindi mo na-develop yung lugar, ay magkakaroon ka ng ganyan. And maliwanag na kailangan ipakita mo sa tao na umaangat talaga yung buhay nila. At doon sa area, makikita naman natin na yung area na madami yan, yun din naman na area na mahirap. Kaya hindi mo rin masisi yung mga mahihirap. Sapagkat dumadami, makita mo yung mga nabanggit mong area na Compostela Valley and Caraga, dyan din naman talaga medyo mahirap ang buhay. Kaya lumalaki din dyan yung insurgency.
You know, there are some that are really ideologues that have a goal that is disparate from that which I have to do if I have sworn again to defend and uphold the Constitution.
Well, of course I have to negotiate with them first. I said, when the government negotiate with any organization, the government must always negotiate in a position of strength. What are you a government for? Instill into their mind, with this MILF, with the NDF, that there's only one flag, one armed forces of the Philippines, one government, period.
The only way to really negotiate with the NDF is to address a question which I totally agree with, and this is the question of social injustice in the country and the structural causes of injustice. As long as there are a lot of poor people who are not benefiting, as long as our governance is corrupt and basically self-centered and not concerned for the mass benefit of the people, then you're going to have the actual structural conditions for the NDF and as well as the NPA to actually prevail. Even if there are, let's say, pockets, but these pockets can become very active. I think we have to we have to show first the will of the new government to address structural issues, the systemic issues that create the precondition for rebellion, not only in the Muslim side, but also in the NDF side. And then with that sign of political will, then it's really possible to negotiate.
I will bring development. I will bring infrastructure in the area. And I will offer them that anytime they can go down and cross the line and take their weapons and change it into plowshares. And then I'm not going to forget them afterwards. I'm going to make sure that I track down what they have done or what has been done for, not for them, but what they have done for themselves when we bring in the progress and development in the area. There's always this propaganda, balik baril, balik bayan. It never happens. So what you want to see is kids going to school. You want to see a specialized thrust in education in the area because these are people who are hungry for reform. And, poverty is an absence of hope. Revolution is an absence of hope. And that is why you have to provide the answers for providing real, meaningful hope.
No negotiations with Aspu Sayaf whatsoever. I mean, they have already proven that they have no redeeming value except to serve as a lesson that terrorism will not pay. But then again, it's also a touchy question because you have children combatants, you have women combatants. It's a difficult situation to deal with, and only through the combination of honest-to-goodness law enforcement and honest-to-goodness development also in the area, because it is only perhaps now that they have been feeling the effects of national government presence in the area, because the local governments, particularly in the municipality of Tipo-Tipo, it gave birth to 3 other municipalities. The capacities of these local governments have still to be built up.
Sa akin naman, sa tingin ko, wala naman tayo magagawa sa Abu Sayyaf. Talagang maliwanag naman na banditry ang ginawa nila. At dapat kasi ihiwalay naman natin sila sa legitimate concerns ng ating mga kababayan doon. And hindi naman sila dapat na sila yung maging impresyon sa ibang mga kababayan natin ng mga kababayan natin doon. Sa tingin ko, iba namang grupo ito. At sila, wala naman tayong choice dyan. Talaga namang binayolate nila yung ating batas and dapat naman silang parusahan doon.
Baka na naman. There has to be twofold. One is, again, you have all the necessary forces available to go after them and seriously go after them, no, without let up. And at the same time, you want to try and have all of the economic interventions or interventions in the economic sphere whereby there is not that necessity to go up into the hills and engage in banditry.
Oh, these are terrorists. The more so that no negotiation is possible with them. Kailangan abuhin talaga, maging abo.
The Abu Sayyaf situation, of course, now that's totally different because that's terrorism. And of course, the government will not tolerate terrorism. But even before moving all out to suppress the Abu Sayyaf, there will have to be peace feelers also with them to address whether the conditions of rebellion have any legitimacy beyond just plain terrorism. If it's just plain terrorism, then unfortunately, there's no basis for peace.
Talking about all-out peace offensive, all-out progress offensive, all-out, full court press on schools, education. I've spoken with the Abu Sayyaf many times. And I recorded them, and they never spoke a word in anger against me. Mm-hmm. They never threatened to cut the heads off. They would just say, they didn't even use the word pugot. They just said they will do what they had to do. And I said, you don't have to do that. And when they said, sabi ko sa kanya kay Albader Parad, and he can attest to this, kung gawin niya sinasabi mong gagawin mo. Sabi ko, alam ko matapang ka. Pero alam ko nangyari sa iyo yan dahil kulangan sa sulu. At alam ko, alam mo na nilirespeto kita. Senador ako, kinakausap kita. At gusto kong malaman mo na pag ginawa mo yan, mamamatay ka rin. Madaling mamatay. Madaling pumatay ng tao. Mahirap magbigay buhay. Pero sabihin sa'yo, pagka ikaw ginawa mo yan, mamamatay ka sa 1 o 2 buwan. Pero ito sabihin sa'yo, pangako ko paparalin ko yung anak mo para hindi maging katulad mo.